for your donations. Happy holidays.
It was just people making donations. Come on, let's go.
Happy holidays. It's the season for sharing, the season for giving. Excuse me.
Are you speaking to me?
As a matter of fact, I am. Would you care to make a holiday donation to the shelter?
I'm sorry. I truly don't carry cash with me nowadays. Oh, how much would you have?
Nope. Not enough. I was kind of hoping I could get a few dollars from you, as a matter of fact.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We'll have to catch you on our way back. Everyone across an ATM inside.
That would be very thoughtful of you. Here's a mission brochure. Just a friendly reminder so you won't forget to get some cash.
Good idea. Oh, she won't be needing one. I got you.
Thanks, babe.
No problem. I'll just add it to what you already owe me.
Some friends you are.
Excuse me, Hope, was it? Here, why don't you take one anyway? I'll be here all week collecting donations. Nothing worse than owing a friend, is there? Especially when they're keeping tabs, right?
Actually, I can think of at least one thing that would be worse.
What's that?
Being broke and having a BFF who's broke also.
Oh, are you coming?
Yeah, we'll be back later with the donations.
Certainly.
Man's best friend's mission and shelter? You mean it's a shelter for animals? Well, I thought for sure you were collecting donations to fund a shelter for people.
So did I. Not that I don't care about this, you understand, but I just...
Oh, people don't care about people anymore. For quite a while, I've been signing on with various charities during the holidays, you know, for a little extra cash during the holidays. Anyway, I can tell you from experience that people are far more generous and compassionate when it comes to our four-legged friends than anything that walks on two legs.
That's a pretty dismal commentary about humanity, don't you think?
Well, it may sound kind of harsh, but I'm afraid it's true. From my observations anyway.
I guess when you consider how people are treating one another these days, it's not inconceivable that some people's heart may become a bit callous against others.
Excuse me.
The Bible even warns us it would happen.
Yeah, and I'm glad it does warn us because we really need that reminder these days.
Oh, certainly, Hope. One thing for sure, we have to guard our own hearts against becoming hard about what we see happening in the world. Otherwise, we won't care like the world doesn't care. And we'd have no hope or expectation that people might hear a message of hope receiving in their hearts and be changed.
People change. Well, like I said, I've been signing on with charities for quite a while. Oh, there are some times when there's an uptick, you know, when people are a little friendlier, a little more interested in one another, or show a little more concern. Usually during major catastrophes that call for people to have to band together. They kind of forget about their differences or dislikes during those times or during a few scattered holidays. But from where I sit, positive change in people never lasts.
But it can last. And not because of special holidays or widespread catastrophes. Any lasting change has to be for a lasting reason.
We have to have hope for better. Otherwise, we might as well expect things to only get worse from here on out.
Hope things will get better. You might as well try to stop a runaway train. Unless you're Superman. I mean Superwoman. Or some other superhero. That would be some kind of trick. Bringing change in people for the better.
If you're saying we don't have the strength to change the downward spiral of humanity, I'd say you're right. Not in our own strength anyway. If you're saying we can't change anything based merely on our hope, you're right again. But we have something far greater than hope. We have someone who's real, very real, and mightier than any being real or imagined. He's strong enough, merciful enough, and loving enough to do what we can't do. So we place our faith and our hope for humanity in Him.
If you're trying to tell me about God, I've heard it before. If He's so loving, how do you allow the world to get so awful in the first place? I mean, just read read or watch the news. It's a mean, cruel world we're living in.
Yeah, it is. But what you see all around you isn't God's failures. It's a result of man's choice to exist apart from God.
You see, at first God created everything beautiful and perfect, and even formed man in his own image and likeness.
Yet, as perfect as it all was, it wasn't good enough for man. So instead, he rejected God and chose his own way.
It was man's rejection of God that put him at odds with God and ultimately led to the chaos you see in the world today. But despite man's rejection, God is still loving.
I don't see how you can say that he's loving when there is anything but love being demonstrated in this world. What has he done to prove that he's loving?
If God were not loving, he would have totally destroyed mankind from the very start. I mean, like wiped Adam and Eve clear off the face of this earth as soon as they ate that forbidden fruit. Or wouldn't have even bothered with the 8 souls he spared during the flood. And certainly would have just scattered the people when they started building that tower. You know, the Tower of Babel. He would have flooded them instead. Because all the while, God knew humanity was going to end up acting crazy again. Good thing I'm not God, or that God is not like me. Because I would have done it. One big swoop, and everybody, and I mean everybody, would be G-O-N-E.
Oh, she didn't mean that, ma'am. Not really, not that swoop part anyway.
Well, looking at today's world, I think I'd be inclined to agree with her, though.
Sure, total destruction may be what mankind deserves, but that's not what God chose to do. Instead, he gives mankind, who made the wrong choice in the beginning, the opportunity to choose again, this time to get it right and accept him. That's one reason we know God is merciful. He could have completely destroyed mankind, but didn't. That's also how we know he's loving.
I don't understand. Why didn't he just put an end to this chaos? I mean, if he is merciful and mighty and loving, as you say, why doesn't he just wave his hand or speak a word or reverse time back to the beginning before mankind messed up? Surely a mighty God who created everything in the first place should be able to cause this world's turmoil and anguish to end. Surely he sees all the sickness and suffering, the hatred and the lawlessness, the utter cruelty of his world. I'm sorry, but I just don't get it.
Sure, he could just simply wave his hand and cause it all to cease in a moment. But since man produced the problem, should man participate in the solution?
I never gave it any thought before. Well, if you put it that way, if you make a mess, it makes sense to at least help clean it up. So, I guess I'd have to say, sure, I guess man should be a part of the solution.
With God, there was no guesswork involved. God knew man should be a part of the solution. So he made man an integral part of his plans to restore all things.
And for that reason, God sent his own son, Jesus, into the world in the form of humanity. And as a man, Jesus, who was as much man as he was God, later became the appeasement of God's wrath. The very way, the only way, mankind could return to God.
So, he gave his son, who became man, to make a difference. But from where I sit and from what I see, it's still a hostile, angry, mixed up world.
Yes, it is. But that's where we, those who knows Christ, come into the picture.
To me, that's the really cool part. We, who know Christ, get to partner with God by introducing Jesus, the Prince of Peace, to others. Sometimes masses of people come to Christ all at once and receive his peace into their hearts. But sometimes it's meant to happen. One person, one soul, at a time.
The important thing is, it happens. In the bigger scheme of things, it may seem like small changes in humanity.
lasting, that would be huge.
Listen, when we come back with some cash for your charity, we would love to treat you to lunch and talk with you more about Jesus. If anyone understands charity, Jesus does. He's the greatest example of it.
Yeah, after all, charity does mean love. And Jesus' love for humanity is far beyond anything you could ever imagine.
Sure, we can go to lunch and talk about it. But why not? Well, you two have certainly given me a lot to think about. I certainly didn't expect to receive this when I saw you approaching and I looked at you, expecting to receive something from you.
We didn't have any silver or gold to give, that's for sure.
No, not immediately on hand anyway. But such as we have, we give. It's the good news that Jesus Christ is the world's source of peace. And Jesus Christ is coming.